Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright people, midweek review time. Wednesday evening we do these. Big up to everyone who joined the live with me and Ade last night. That was pretty crazy. That was probably the funnest live I've ever done. But that was pretty crazy, the numbers we drew. That was big. That was really, that was quite crazy. I couldn't believe the numbers we were getting and what was going on. It was brilliant. But always big up to Ade. Pleasure having him on. And, I think because me and him, we get on so well, it's just kind of like, it's so easy to have the chats with him. So that was great, absolutely great. Big up to everyone who was in there. We're back to singles today, and straight away, again, this is just getting a joke now at this stage, people. The purse bid pushed back again. This is the fourth time, and they're pushing it back like 2 days at a time. Like, why? Like, if there's why don't they just say it? We don't know what the hell is going on. There's an arbitration thing going around about, all these things. I mean, Eddie Hearn, I think, was talking about going down the legal road to overrule it. There's so much, what going on behind the scenes that pushing these purse bids back every 2-3 days, it's going to achieve nothing. We're going to end up being in a situation where it's going to be like push back again, push back again, push back again, and what? We're going to be no sooner. We don't know what the story is with Anthony Joshua and with Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury was quoted as saying that, he says it here, that Eddie Hearn and AJ have got to be the worst businessmen in history. Today they lost 90 million. Don't know where he got that number from. I mean, I think the step aside was 15, but I think, he's referring to probably his proposed fight with Anthony Joshua, and he's implying that that's Eddie Hearn's fault. I do believe Deontay Wilder had the arbitration hearing for that, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, this whole WBC thing, there's a quote here that WBC have stated that the Fury versus Whyte purse bid date has now been pushed back. Oh, interestingly, I'm reading this for the first time as well. I just noticed the Dan Raphael tweet, but it said that this is the final time. Okay, so as far as we're concerned, it's definitely happening. The purse bid's on Friday. Appears the heavyweight situation will be resolved by Friday, whether or not it's Fury Whyte, AJ Usyk 2, or a step-aside deal for AJ and Dillian Whyte, in which case we will get Fury. In terms of Eddie Hearn has actually confirmed that an offer was made, this was on the DAZN Boxing Show, to Anthony Joshua to allow Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. However, he insists the reported fee of 15 million is wrong. Fee is wrong, he says here. There is definitely no deal done. Long way to go in terms of a deal. So he's insisting that potentially that could it be more, could it be less? I mean, 15 million quid for step aside is an incredible amount of money. I mean, realistically, when you think about it, that's an extraordinary amount of money for doing absolutely. It's quite crazy, isn't it? If you're Anthony Joshua, I know he's talking up and saying, I want to get revenge and I want to put it on Usyk, but if someone literally just says to you, here's 15 million quid for doing absolutely nothing, and you can go and take probably another fight in the interim, I'd be looking at that and thinking, result. I'll have that. In terms of other fights that are being announced, okay, I'm gonna get angry with this, and then I want to report on this one after, because it will perk me up, because I don't understand this fight at all. I think it's a horrible mismatch. I think it's just, I'm scratching my head here. I really am. Regis Prograis. Now, I like Regis Prograis. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I really, really do. Him against Josh Taylor. If you had scored I felt Taylor won it at the time, but if you scored it for Regis Prograis by a couple of rounds, I wouldn't argue with that. He's a tremendous talent, great fighter. Just, you could see it early on in his career that this guy was something special, something to behold. Even though he lost to Josh Taylor, and even though Taylor beat Ramirez, you could probably say if Taylor moved up, it'd be between him and Ramirez who's number one. Fantastic fighter, but I can't defend this. He's gonna fight Tyrone McKenna on March the 19th in Dubai on one of them Probellum cards. I said to Ade last night that it's like when Probellum came along, they made all the right moves in terms of kind of what they were saying and the cards on paper. But how do I put it? It's almost like Thriller light. It's kind of how it's going with Probellum now. With Thriller, it's just a bit of a circus act. I think we all kind of know that at this stage with the commentary, with the fight. It's a bit of a kind of, it's kind of a circus act. Let's be frank, right? With Thriller, don't get me wrong. Like the fights, like against like Hunter and Farce was good. The commentary is just it's funny. It's funny bad, if you know what I mean. Like I remember, I really watched the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, which was just that whole show was a bit of a you know what. But I was like, you'd Snoop Dogg swearing left, right, and centre. Don't get me wrong, it was a laugh. You De La Hoya, who sounded like he was all over the shop. So it's kind of bad in a funny way, like car crash TV almost. But this, like I thought Probellum were, and they were, to be fair, they are signing some good fighters. But I've nothing against Tyrone McKenna. I've never met him personally, but he seems like a real stand-up guy. He seems a real cool guy. So this isn't coming from me from a personal point of view. But McKenna has fallen short at domestic level twice against Jack Catterall and against O'Hara Davis. The O'Hara Davis fight, I felt he was a bit unlucky not to get the nod, to be fair. I thought he was a bit unlucky not to get the nod in that fight. It was a real... That was a real kind of case of what you like. Do you like the clean, effective punching of O'Hara Davis, or do you like the volume and the boxing of Tyrone McKenna? I felt McKenna was a bit unlucky in that fight, but the fight before that, he fought that, was it Mahmoud guy? He's a French 140 pounder, and that was a robbery. I think that was in 2019. That was a robbery. McKenna lost that fight. He got battered from pillar to post. Absolutely battered from pillar to post. Don't know how he won that fight. Well, I know how he won that fight. That was on the MTK Golden Contract show, and he was already having that beef with O'Hara Davis. O'Hara Davis was already in the final. They wanted a McKenna Davis final. That literally explains that in a nutshell. That's what went on there. Can't excuse this. Regis Prograis, what is he doing? Why is he fighting Tyrone McKenna? This is a gross mismatch. McKenna is going to get absolutely blasted out in a couple of rounds. No disrespect to the guy, but he is. I would be amazed if he beats. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. I know that sounds mean, and he's not going to do it. He's not going to beat Regis Prograis. No way. I just don't understand this fight at all. For Prograis' sense, like, this is a world level fighter. Why are you? Again, I don't mean any disrespect to the guy. You know, he trains in Dublin with Pete Taylor. He seems a cool guy, but like, you're talking dramatic levels down. And from McKenna, dramatic levels up. Like, I mean, put it like this, right? He lost to O'Hara Davis and to Jack Catterall. I would pick Regis Prograis to beat both of them relatively straightforward, to be honest. Straightforward enough. And there's much better guys knocking around, you know, at the 140 pound division that, you know, you could be having fights with in around that level. I don't even, like, let's just, for example, I'm going to bring up BoxRec here really quickly, and let's just bring up and just see where we are with regards to these. So 140 pound division, let's just read the top 10 and just see who in this top 10 he could have fought. So Sandor Martinez there. I mean, what's wrong with that? I know Pedraz is in a fight. Although I wouldn't like this fight. You've got Rhesus Bartholomew. He's a bit of a stinker, to be fair. Who else do you have there? Ponce, the guy who beat Ritson. And actually, I believe Ritson is with Probellum now, so I don't see why you couldn't have had that. Ulysse Jr., again, could have had him. Guys like Brandon Lee, even Lewis Ritson himself would have been a better shout than this. Ishmael Barroso, good shout. Actually, he's a bit limited, but he can punch. All these guys could have done I really don't understand the matchmaking there. I really don't. I don't understand why he's going down that level. I mean, Prograis is a world level fighter, 140 pounds. He should be doing much better than this. Crazy. On that card as well, Sonny Edward defends his helmet against is the title, I say, his IBF flyweight title against Mohammed Wazim. That's gonna be a good little scrap. I like Sonny Edwards. He's very good in terms of just his movement, his technical ability, all that. He was trying to get a unification with Julio Cesar Martinez, and now I'm happy because this fight right here, Julio Cesar Martinez will now face Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Obviously, Estrada had to withdraw from the fight, you know, the Holocaust. But we get a replacement, Cesar Martinez, coming up in weight to fight the great Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Lads, that fight right there, like, it's very rare where you have these moments where like you're looking forward to a fight. And I was looking forward to Estrada Chocolatito 3. I was. And one fighter pulls out, and you're like, right, we're getting a replacement. Okay. And then they announce him, and you're even more excited now for the replacement than you were for the first one. This fight right here is going to be unreal. It is going to be fantastic. This is going to be a war. Both guys are going to trade. Chocolatito really is a flyweight. Like, he's probably kind of grown into superfly now at this stage, because I remember when he turned over earlier, they moved up to superfly earlier. He was a little bit, he looked small. He's looking a bit more kind of natural at the weight now. It's been a few years. I think it's been about 5 years now at superfly. But really, at best, he was at 112 pounds. Now you've got a 112 pound champion moving up to 115. Oh my God, it's going to be a great fight. I tell you now, like, that is going to be brilliant. Both guys bring it. Both guys are offensively gifted. Chocolatito was a living legend. I mean, he is a fantastic fighter. This was the Chocolatito of 6-7 years ago. He wins this fight relatively straightforward. He's not the. I was going to say he's shown signs of decline, or he did after the Rumfasai fights. But saying that, like, Estrada, in my opinion, is a pound for pounder. And in my opinion, Chocolatito won the fight. It was close. Second time around, it was very close. But in my opinion, Chocolatito won the fight. He's still going in there against pound for pounders. And in my opinion, beating them. You see Calyafai. Now, Calyafai is not on the level of Estrada. He's not on the level of a Rumfasai. But nevertheless, he's still a world champion. That really sums up a world champion. I'm going to say run-of-the-mill world champion, Chocolatito. And we saw what happened in that fight. That was 2 years ago. And, I mean, Chocolatito really, he beat Calyafai from pillar to post. A tremendous fighter. I can't believe that. This is a great fight. March 5th, I'll be staying up for that. I'd even think of doing a watch-along for that, because that's a hell of a fight. Interesting move here. Florian Marku has signed a new long-term deal with Boxer and Sky Sports. Now, that's an interesting one. I do have to say, because it's absolutely fantastic for Boxer. But I really do think Eddie Hearn missed the trick there, not really getting Florian Marku and signing him on the dotted line to a full-time contract with DAZN and Matchroom, because we saw Marku on the Richard Riakporhe card there back in November. Now, that card right there, I think that was the last fight on Marku's current deal, because he had a deal going with Boxer but prior to Boxer taking over Sky. That was why he was there. And they, very, very smart what they did. They left him on till the very end, right? Whereas in most cases he'd be on he'd be on the undercard. He'd be probably 2 or 3 fights before the main event. But they had him on very after the main event. So for Riakporhe versus Duradola, it was a full crowd of all the Albanian fans, and it looked like it was there for them. So when that fight ended, that's when Marku came in, and it was like scenes of a world title fight. Literally, it was an 8-rounder against some journeyman, and it looked like we were having a world title fight. It was crazy. Marku's fans are just. I don't think he could do a stadium in Albania. He could easily probably do a stadium. It's crazy the amount of fans he has. So for Ben Shalom and Boxer to get someone like him, because he is just a ticket seller. Like, I mean, I'll put it to you, like I would go as far to say, would I go with this? Maybe. But when they done that show in the O2 where Chantel Cameron was main eventing, it was very, very, like, there was not a massive attendance in there. There wasn't. Could you imagine if Marku had been on that card for Eddie Hearn? They would have opened more sectors of the O2, mark my words, because Marku just, it's crazy how popular he is. And like, yeah, he's done stuff in kickboxing and stuff, but like, even as a boxer, he's still relatively, like, in terms of his pro career, like, he's not done that much, but he's just got crazy fans, like, it's an insane amount of them. So Boxer really did do, like, Boxer are making moves. They really are. Like, they don't have the depth of, say, a Top Rank. They wouldn't, of course not, nor a Matchroom. But as I've said in several videos, you look at Matchroom's roster when they came back into boxing, when Eddie took over from Barry, it wasn't exactly like, you know, you had Kell Brook, yes, but Kell Brook wasn't a world champion at the time. Carl Froch was the main guy. You know, AJ hadn't even turned over. You'd guys like Tommy Coyle, you'd Luke Campbell, who just turned over. So you didn't have, it wasn't like a who's who of a roster, you know, you didn't have that. So with Ben Shalom and Sky, they're still building their roster. They're taking some guys out of the amateurs. They're taking some, former Matchroom guys, some former Queensbury guys, and they're building it slowly but surely. But they're doing a very good job. They're getting guys like Marku, who are massive ticket sellers. So if they're worried about a show, put him on as the headline, and it'd be full. If you had like the Copper Box somewhere like that, yeah, no issues. Place full of fans for Marku mainly, and they're getting fights like Kell Brook and Mir Khan. I mean, I think me and Ade were talking about that last night, and we both said that we probably could have done a small stay. I think we were all surprised how much people still want to see that fight. I mean, it sold out really quick, and I think it caught a lot of promoters like Eddie Hearn by surprise how many people want that fight. So there's a fight that Sky have gotten, and there's a rematch clause. So if it is a good fight and they run it back, if it's a good fight, and say Kell Brook wins late stoppage in a fight where he's been down and it's competitive, they'll do that again if the money's right. And Sky would be like, of course you'll do it again, bring it, yeah, we'll take that, we'll have that fight, no problem. So Sky are making some good moves. Putting Eubank versus Williams on standard Sky, I mean, that's a great move, because I think one of the complaints we had is that, like, with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, what they were doing when Sky were working with them, it was like they were always trying, what's the next pay-per-view fight we can get? What's the next fight we can put on pay-per-view? Can we get, because remember last year, if Conor Ben had, well, he did beat Samuel Vargas, but if Josh Kelly had beat David Avanesian, mark my words, we would have got a pay-per-view. If Sky and Eddie Hearn had one more deal or one more fight deal, they would have done that on pay-per-view. Mark my words, they would have done it. Or they would have done that, definitely. So, I think Sky are doing a lot of good things, and their future was so up in the air before Boxer, Wasserman took over. It's crazy. Like, they're doing very good moves in boxing. Still, they're obviously it's still the growing phase, but they're doing good, and they got people like Savannah Marshall as well. So again, I think Eddie Hearn is mad letting them go. I really do. I think it's crazy. We keep guys like Babbage is fun. Don't get me wrong, he is certainly, but I think there's more. You've got more life in Marku than Babbage. I'll just say that. In terms of other news, let's go stateside. WBA ordering Gervonta Davis to fight Rolly Romero next. Obviously, Romero cleared of those allegations that were placed to him back at Christmas time. It was just before Christmas, actually, because it was just before he was meant to. It was after the press conference, I think, for the what was it after? It was after the press conference for the fight that was going to happen in December. So that got put on the back burner, and Tank Davis had to fight Isaac Cruz in a fight that was very competitive. I mean, that was a good fight, very close, very competitive. I was watching Dell Blue Collar Sports video on this, and he feels that Rolly is a step down from Isaac Cruz, and I agree. I think that Isaac Cruz, I'd pick him over Rolly, and I think that I think Tank Davis stylistically, Rolly is a lot more complimentary to Tank Davis, and I think that Tank Davis is gonna he's not gonna miss. He's not gonna be able to miss him. He is not gonna be able to miss. He's gonna light him up. He's literally gonna light Rolly up. And again, like, I feel it's a bit of a step down in that regard, but I would expect people to maybe forget about the Isaac Cruz fight fairly quick when we see this fight coming in. In terms of some of the other fights, obviously this weekend coming, we have, and touch wood, it's still going ahead as it stands, a look at Makabu versus Tabisa Mchunu. I got to do a quick preview of that while I'm here. I'm interested in that fight, I am. Seems like the buzz with Canelo for Makabu was it's kind of gone quiet now. Depending on how this fight goes, we may very well get more volume of it. Maybe they'll talk about it more. I know Don King originally said he wanted to give Canelo tickets to this fight to watch it, to be ringside. So be interesting to see if Canelo will be there. They've not announced it here in the UK or Ireland if it's going to be on anything, so I'll probably be on the old backdoor kind of thing, that sort of way. I'll get it for free. I'll put it like that. But I think in the States it's like $40 something. I don't know what network King got it on, but there's only literally, I think, 2 fights on the whole card as it is. I'll just double check, but I'm pretty sure there's only like literally 2 fights on it. Ilunga Makabu. The other fight is name of the guy, Trevor Bryan. Oh no, there is fights on it. Okay, I thought that was someone there for a sec. I've never heard of a lot of these guys. So there's a guy called Ahmet Hefney, 13-1 heavyweight. I've never heard of him. He's Egyptian heavyweight. There are not too many of them. Who did he lose to? And I've never heard of the guy he lost to, but he had a terrible record. Cody Wilson, he's fighting a guy who, again, name I never heard of. He's a welterweight. Jesus, people, he's charging people for this. Obviously, the main event is good. Ilunga Makabu versus Tabisa Mchunu. I think Mchunu is a great technical boxer, a bit fragile around the whiskers. I think he can be hurt. Lacks probably the raw power that Makabu has. Makabu, on the other hand, takes a pretty good shot, but easy to hit. Should be a good fight. The first fight was good. Mchunu was definitely winning that, in my opinion, but he gassed badly. And I think that's another thing I worry about Mchunu, is he gassed very, very bad. I mean, it was so apparent he was out with stamina in the first Makabu fight. Come the end was when he got taken out. So, gun to my head, I will say Ilunga Makabu to win. Late stoppage again. Ilunga Makabu to win that fight. It'll be interesting to see what happens after. If he gets through this fight relatively unscathed, would Canelo just say, do you know what, he's fairly unscathed, he can go by May, let's do it, let's just roll the dice and I'll take him, I'll take his belt, I'll be a 5-weight world champion. So we shall see, but definitely after next week the schedule is a lot more open, with a lot more fights coming, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll get some more watch alongs. I ordered an iPad there, so the watch alongs will look a bit better in that regard. And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good, people. We're going to have some fun in the next few weeks with fights coming back. And yeah, I'll leave it there for now, lads and lassies. I'll talk to you. Oh, by the way, if you could, I was going to end it, but I just ask you, smash the like button, help your boy out. 6,200 and I think 94 at the time of recording here, which is pretty good going. I only hit 6k last month, so that's pretty good going. Which hit subscribe, we'll try and get subscribers up. I'd love to get to 7k and then onwards to 10. But for now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.